Second.
Good to go? Okay. I forgot what Chris does, so we're prepared. Okay, good morning. This is the admin committee meeting, 9 a.m. Monday, May 10th. We're going to do a call to order. Danielle Allen here. Bob Gibler.
Present.
Bill Palin.
Here.
Jim Horseman.
Here.
Jack Skrockstad.
Here.
Chris Norberg. And John Nicholson.
Here.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions on the minutes from the previous meeting? No, so then they're just approved as read. Okay, great. Do we have any visitors? Nothing. Okay, so we're going to do claims and reports. We are going to go a little out of order. Wendy has a 10 a.m., so we're going to skip down to GIS and assessment office. Here is, which one are we doing? This one?
I'll give that to him and I'll read this one.
We do have what?
Will.
Oh, sorry. Hi.
Hi there. FAWKES.
Thank you.
And I see Amy Johnson's on
Oh, yep.
Zoom also.
Good morning. Morning, Amy.
Okay. Claims, this would be for leave in the amount of $234.18. Next one is Kevin Carr, $1,043.94. Kevin Carr again, $3,402.32. U.S. Bank, $66.10. $273.97. Oh, I'm sorry, that's for U.S. Bank also. Quill, $100.63. U.S. Bank, $370 even. U.S. Bank, $1,280. No cents. U.S. Bank, $587.20.
And a grand total of $7,358.34.
$7,358.34.
Correct. I'll read it again. I'll read it 2 times for you.
Here's the claims for GIS.
U.S. Bank in the amount of $525. Verizon, $20.02.
Gives you a grand total of $545.02. 545.02.
Okay, Wendy, do you want to give your report?
Yes, good morning, everyone. I want to go on record as having said that I've been really, really quiet for the last 6 months. I've saved everything up I want to say for this month. so bear with me. I appreciate the opportunity to go first because I do have a 10 o'clock meeting. I'm going to start with just a very high level, couple of highlights of what's going on in the assessment office and the GIS department. First of all, you'll notice from the claims in the assessment office that our biggest claims that are coming through right now are the field work. We have independent contractors that are going out and taking photographs and measuring in buildings and structures and are feeding that information back to the county office. And the county office is now launched into and very busy actually processing all of that field data that's coming in preparation for finalizing the values for 2021. Just as a reminder, 2021 is the quadrennial reassessment year for Dixon Township and Palmyra Township. So I know that affects a lot of you that are in the room today. In the GIS world, we've also had a pretty busy month. I'm going to just highlight a couple of things because most of my agenda items are relating to GIS as well. So a couple of important or critical things that got done over the last month is that the SQL databases, the databases for the GIS system, for DevNet and PAMS have had an automatic backup now set up so that we are, again, from a critical perspective, we have all of our data backed up overnight each night so that if there is any catastrophic event that happens, we've got a backup plan, which is hugely comforting to me. The zoning layer of data also got moved onto that same server and is also being backed up nightly. This is something that hadn't been in place before. The backups were not necessarily every night. So this was a big deal. We have been investigating the purchase of a new plotter. And when I say a plotter, I'm talking about a great big printer that'll print like the big survey, 36-inch wide. The plotter that we have right now has actually been here since the early 2000s. So it's dang near 20 years old, no longer supported by the company that we bought it from. So we've been investigating purchasing a new one. And of course, when you purchase something new, you get a great upgrade in technology. So the opportunity right now is not to have just a big printer, but it's a scanner printer. I send that as a shout out because I learned just by happenstance by talking to Nancy last month that guess what? The recording department also has the need for a scanner that will scan these large documents when they get surveys in. And so the GIS department is moving forward. In fact, has actually ordered, it's not here yet, a scanner plotter. So it will either print or scan and store 36-inch wide large survey documents. We've also communicated that with the maintenance department. They have a lot of blueprints for all of our buildings that they would love to get in a digital file. I suspect there are other departments that have things like that. So we're hoping the GIS department can be kind of the conduit or the central station for that type of thing with that purchase. Just to give you an idea that we got a great deal on it, but it's $3,800. So it's not a minimal expense, but I think it was time we bought one after almost 20 years. So that's taken some time this month doing the research and buying and purchasing the appropriate one. We also have had meetings with 911. 911 is, of course, moving forward with its new software upgrades, and the GIS department has been meeting with them to make sure that we are able to provide the GIS data and software that they need. We've also, Tom has actually spent quite a little time testing project management software. And I'm very enthusiastically embracing this because it's helping all of us, Carmen, Tom, and myself, kind of stay on top of the various projects that the GIS department gets. So we can stay on top of, you know, when the order first came in, how long did it take us to complete it, what stage of completion is it at, and then finally when it is completed. It's also a good tracking device for all of us to see what did we work on over the last month. So a fair amount of time has been spent on that. With that said, unless there's any questions on the claims that were submitted today, I would like to begin with the presentation on the number of things I have on the agenda. Any questions besides that? All right. I have had the opportunity to speak to, I believe, all committee members over the course of the last few weeks about this, but I want to go back and kind of give a high-level overview for the public's sake and also for future committees this week's sake to kind of let you know what's going on at a high level, and then I'll entertain any questions. So to begin with, as you know, the GIS department was restructured and created back in October. I took over supervision of that back in October, and as a part of that process, I began becoming familiar with the financial side of the GIS world. Most of you may or may not know that the GIS department is primarily funded by the GIS recording fee. That fee right now is $18 for every recorded document, of which $1 goes to the clerk and $17 goes to the GIS fund to fund the GIS department. What many of you may not realize is that it has been funding and paying the salary and related expenses for one of those positions, the senior GIS analyst position, but it has not ever paid for or funded the GIS specialist position. That position has always been funded, paid for, and supervised by the county assessment office. So in other words, it gets paid for by the county general budget. In my analysis over the last few months, I had a policy question to the board that I would put out to you, and that is, should the GIS department fund all GIS expenses? Is that a policy decision that the board would make now that we have a unified GIS department, whereas both positions are not only supervised by one person, but they're now physically located in a single place, and they're acting as a single department now. And the question becomes, if the board believes, yes, that's a prudent decision to make, a couple things happen there. You pull the expense out and away from county general, and you put it into the GIS fund. So if that is the decision, policy decision of the board, then the question becomes, does the GIS fund have the necessary funding to actually handle both positions and all related, including hardware, software expenses? And the answer, as I delved into this over the last month, is no, it doesn't right now. The GIS recording fee was established in 2007. Oh, excuse me, it was modified in 2007. It was actually established back in the early 2000s. And that fee of $18 was established and approved by the board in 2007. So it's now 14 years out of date. So that's one of the challenges, or one of the items that I looked at when I was reviewing this. And the other thing is that the idea that again, now we're restructuring the GIS department, and we're essentially doubling the GIS expenses for personnel. So I put together, excuse me, let me back up just a minute. The county board has the authority to change the GIS recording fee. Statutorily, in order to do that, though, you are required to prepare a cost analysis or a cost study that verifies the need for that. And so I, as part of my process, prepared that cost analysis, which has now been distributed, of course, to all of you, and will eventually this week be distributed to other board members. But it kind of lays out the historical, what have our expenses been, and then going forward, what would our expenses be if you were to make the policy decision to fund the GIS department, all of the personnel of the GIS department under the GIS fund. So the second part of my request to administration committee is to approve and move forward to the full board for recommendation and approval the increase of the GIS recording fee. I am proposing we increase that fee to $31 per recorded document. Remember, right now it's at 18. In part, that's because it's a dramatic, or it might seem like a dramatic increase because it hasn't been changed in a while. And in part, this reflects that proposed policy question to all of you of funding the entire GIS department out of that GIS fund. Remember, of the $31, $1 does go to the clerk for administrative purposes. So what would be remaining for the GIS fund would be a $30 recording fee that would go into the GIS fund. To be clear, I do not anticipate a $31 fee to 100% offset the costs in the GIS department. In fact, according to my projections, assuming that they are accurate, I believe that the $31 will leave us with a approximate $12,000 budget deficit each year. In my opinion, that was my recommendation. That was by design. The existing balance in the GIS fund is about $148,000. And I thought it would be prudent to whittle away a little bit of that fund balance. I believe that it is important to keep a fund balance in good times and bad economic times to kind of ride out the highs and lows. Because remember, the recording fee is directly related to what's happening out there in the economy. When interest rates are low and property is selling, frequently we get more recorded documents. When interest rates go up or properties aren't selling, we get less recorded documents. So I believe that it's prudent to keep a fund balance. I don't know that it's necessary to keep a fund balance of 148,000. My goal would be somewhere between 85 and 90,000, which would be approximately a little less than 50% of the annual budget would be kind of a fund balance to, again, fall back on in the times when the recording may not be as high. So the second piece of this is to look for a recommendation from this committee to approve the GIS recording fee change to the $31, or if you have another proposal, I would be happy to entertain that as well. And lastly, and then I'll throw it out to questions, the last part of my proposal is, as I've been reporting to you, beginning January 1, 2022, the assessment office will be taking on 6 additional township jurisdictions. And I would like to take at least some of that freed up money out of county general and hire an additional employee in the assessment office in order to offset some of that workload. I do have, and I did send to you a little bit of information on the financial impact of that. The additional revenue from those townships would be about $16,000 annually. The relocation of locating the GIS specialist out of county general to the GIS fund would be a net gain of county general to about $58,000. And then the new employee that I'm proposing and would like your recommendation on is an additional cost in county general about $33,000. So that leaves a net impact to county general of about $41,000. So with that said, I will entertain any questions or comments that you all have. I know that was a lot of information.
Any questions?
Yeah, I have one. This is Jim. Wendy, if we were to follow all your recommendations, I'm a little confused about the source of the funding if we go ahead with all of this. At the end, I was concerned with funding coming from several different avenues to the GIS department. Would the end result of this be that everything would be funneled through one way? It sounds like it's still going to be partly funded by fees and partly funded by general fund.
Actually, my proposal is that and by the way, Jim, just to clarify, the revenue stream into the GIS fund is the same. It's just we're talking about increasing the fee. So that has the GIS recording fee has always gone directly into the GIS fund. What I'm talking about doing, though, is streamlining and making all the expenses for the GIS department now actually coming out of the GIS fund, and instead of splitting it out of county general in part and the GIS fund in part. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. That it seemed there's probably a good historical explanation for why things were set up that way, but now that we have a freestanding GIS department, I think as a matter of accounting, we ought to have a little more, as you say, streamlining. So all the funds are coming from the same place.
Just a quick response to your historical question. You're correct. There was a thought historically as to why we did that, and that was that the GIS specialist working out of and under the direct supervision of the county assessor made sense 20 years ago, because the workload that particular person was doing was directly related to the county assessment cycle. And so having that supervision over that person and making sure that the workload was getting done in conjunction with the tax cycle made all kinds of sense back then. Of course, right now the individuals are still under the county assessor's supervision, so it's still, we still accomplish that goal.
So when this is done, it's going to be simpler for the board to see how much money the GIS department is costing?
Correct.
Okay, that seems like a good thing to me.
I just want to comment as a new employee, I don't know what the traffic was going to Wendy's office before I got here, but since I had the IT GIS label on my door, from frequently sending people down the hallway to her office. And on some days, it looks like election day, or early voting when Nancy was having early voting there. So I can't speak to the overall daily throughput because I'm not always in my office, but I know there's quite a bit of traffic going to her office. And usually the people they have straight faces, like they're not happy, not sad when they walk in, but usually they're pretty happy and they have something in their hand that they're shaking like this. So I would support Wendy. She's been very supportive of me, so thank you.
Sounds like we need to
Thank
change the
you.
sign.
Yes, yeah.
Sounds like we need to get a sign changed.
Little scraper out.
Sign change. Yes. We are working on a couple sign changes, but I forgot about yours.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Go ahead, John.
I do have a question. So your proposal is that we would use roughly 6% of that fund you have for the next 5 years, 6 years to get it down to the 85, 90 brain. I mean, I'm a fan of, there's very few departments in this county that can be self-funded. Animal control, we have them pretty much self-funded. I would really like to see GIS be self-funded. It's one of the few we could, but if we don't let it drop below the $85,000, $90,000, then I'm happy.
The good news is it'll still be self-funded. It's just we're going to eat away a little bit at the fund balance. And again, that's a policy decision. But I was comfortable with at least keeping about 6 months worth of operating in the GIS fund. And that's kind of how I got there. Part of the cost study, for those of you who've read through it from start to finish, was that I did strongly urge in the cost study, and I don't know if I'll be here in 5 years or not, but I strongly urged that this be done more periodically, like every 5 years, because to be honest, I've made a lot of projections in this report, and that causes me a little concern, because what if my projections aren't accurate? Projections are based on nothing more than historical numbers, and so sometimes they're not accurate. So I would really like to see this done every 5 years. And John, to get to your point, then that would make sure that we don't get the fund balance too low without being able to make another decision as to, how else do we fund that particular GIS department. So.
And based on the projections that you have,
Right.
great job. It's going to take us 5 to 8 years to eat away that 40,000 to get it to say 100,000. 5 to 8 years.
Microphone, please.
In GIS world is eternity. I mean, it changes. And so we do need to review it every 5 years.
Were you guys having trouble hearing? Is that what you were saying?
From John, yes.
They were just having trouble hearing you, John.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bill. I agree with what Wendy's doing. I think the $31,000 is fine. That will give us 5 to 8 years before we're down to that $100,000 mark, eating away at the fund balance. And if Wendy's comfortable with it being at that level, I have no problem with that. I mean, it sounds like a great plan right now. And it will force us to review it in 5 to 8 years.
I do have one follow-up comment. I did spend some time last month speaking with Nancy because it's all well and good for me to sit in the GIS world and say, yeah, let's raise a fee. And it's all well and good for you as a board member because you have the authority to do it, to say, yeah, let's raise a fee. But the fact is the impact of raising a fee will be put upon the county recording office. They're the ones that get to be able to tell everybody every day, no, the fee's not this anymore, it's now that. And so I did chat with Nancy because I wanted to make sure that she was comfortable with this. And to see if there was anything that we in the GIS department could do to make sure that, to facilitate this, whether it be to send out letters to those real estate professionals that use this frequently. But I did want to make sure of that. And Nancy, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think we had a very collaborative conversation. So,
Wendy,
yes.
was Nancy considerate of that $1 fee towards her department, or did she perhaps entertain a motion that she might need more than just that dollar?
She's shaking her head. I'm not sure if you can hear it rattling.
No, I was still comfortable with the dollar, and along with what Wendy is saying, I'm 100% on board with this. Coming from my previous experience in the title world, the GIS mapping and everything is crucial to so many people that work in my office and come in and use that off the website. So I was 100% on board with Wendy's plan.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'll make a motion if there's no other questions. I'll make a motion that we accept those proposals and recommendations, and that we pass those on to Finance Department and the Executive Department.
I'll second that.
Hey, Bob and Bill, I appreciate the first and second. There was a little conversation here before the meeting started briefly about the timing of this. So when we move this forward to the other committees, I think we'll make sure that the motion to approve the cost study and raise the fee will be first on the agenda. The point was made that if the board does not approve that, then the rest of the pieces really can't fall into place either. So with your permission and approval, we'll make sure that that gets in a logical order when it moves forward.
Yes, I'm sure that will happen. It'll have to go to Finance first. And then after Finance perhaps approves it, then it would go to Executive.
Correct. You're correct. Thanks, guys.
So we're gonna be going with the $31. Is that what we're discussing right now, is setting it at 31?
Yes.
Everybody in agreement with that?
Okay, so is that a roll call? So, no. So all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
So on to the next county clerk claims and report. Great.
Yep. Okay. Amboy News, $561 even. Ashton Gazette, $493 even. Fiddler, $1,809.69. GBS, $1,083.94. GBS, $4,310. GBS, $21,661.56. Sauk Valley Media, $900.90. Sauk Valley Properties, $1,097.26. No, my bad.
$197.26. SBM, $338.02. Secretary of State, $10. US Bank, $51.80. Quadient Leasing, $1,500.
A grand total of $32,917.17. 32,917.17.
Thank you.
Okay, next one is Fiddler, $446.40. Iron Mountain, $97.34.
Grand total of $553.74. 543.74.
543.
Yeah, 543.74.
Okay, so I have an overall total of 33,460.57. Nancy, did you want to give your report?
Good morning, everyone. I just want to do a shout out to the IT department. They've been working very hard in my office, especially Christopher. Very, very happy with Christopher. It's a new software and new computers in my iVitals department, which is birth records. So we're looking forward to getting that new system. It's called Apex. As soon as we can get that up and rolling, it's going to be a wonderful thing. And just a little word on my claims. A lot of what you see there came from election, the newspaper and all that kind of stuff. So that will be going forward to be a lot less. And that's all I have for today. Thank you.
Any questions for Nancy? Jonathan?
I believe, yeah, she's referring to Jonathan. Jonathan and Zach have been great the last
I
few days.
apologize. I always call him Christopher. I'm so sorry, Jonathan.
It's all right. Everybody else misspells his name too. So, but no, Jonathan and Zach have been very busy in your office, and actually following the meeting today, Jonathan will be back to install the other 2 computers in preparation of the Apex upgrade. So, which will take a few weeks. They'll have our data, and they'll upgrade your data. And I want to thank your office for being patient with us.
Any questions for Nancy? Thank you. Okay, on to the treasurer and claims.
Dell EMC, $1,179.98.
How much was that, Jack? I'm sorry.
$1,179.98.
That one was the third one on my sheet, so
Oh, is it?
probably want to get them in order.
All right.
I mean, well, I might be the one out of order. I don't know.
I'm sure I've said wrong too, so. Okay. All right. Next one would be US Bank, $93.79. And Pitney Bowes Global Financial, $935.13.
Grand total, $2,208.90. 220890.
90.
Okay, SBM, $34. US Bank, $52.17. Paper Recovery Service, $60.
Grand total of $146.17. 14617.
Yes, so I guess the big things in our office going on right now, we have a new employee starting next Monday named Debbie Robertson. So she will be very welcome going into tax season. Tax bills should be going out in the next couple of weeks. And I'm also starting to prep. Yes, yay, get excited. You get to spend money. I'm also starting to prep for budget, which will be starting in June, also next month. So a few more weeks. That's it.
Any questions for Paula? Thank you.
I have a question. Treasurer, I didn't hear anything about hotel motel receipts. Or,
They did go, hang on.
Is that the tourism?
Yeah.
Does that go with? Got
I
it.
go with it.
This one.
Sure.
Total amount that was collected was- Okay. So Bill, the total amount collected was 10,973.61.
That goes, it breaks down three ways.
Yep,
Two
so
ways now.
tourism, 5,400.
it's 50%, right?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Is that on the claim sheet then and I missed it?
That should be just showing there.
Now I can find what I did
One
with
to
it.
Dixon, one to tourism, and then they get, you waive that administrative fee still?
No. All of that money now goes into the general fund. We don't have a tourism fund anymore. So the money that comes in, the total 10,973, we keep the 1% or 1.5%, I don't remember what it is, 1%.
1%.
Stays where it's at, and then the rest of it is split 50-50 between the city and Dixon or Lee County Tourism.
Oh, I thought that that 1% was waived.
I think you guys waived it for a few months, but it wasn't
Oh,
waived
that's correct.
into perpetuity.
Thank you.
Mhm.
You get enough of that bill to make sense?
Yes, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, now on to the ROE. Did not do that one. Oh,
Bob's here. Moving up. Do you have a copy of the bills?
I think so.
Okay,
Yep.
because I have a copy here for you if you need it.
Steve, that's what this is. That's your whole sheet time.
Then I read the itemized list, then, correct? Okay.
Yeah. You don't have the, I don't think you have the.
Oh,
copy, yeah.
thank you.
First page.
They, okay, okay. If there's any,
I think
Here's-
you need to keep that.
this one. I don't know if it's any different from what you have.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. Oh, I have the actual thing. All right. Should I just read the entire itemized list or
Split
just the
into
total? Just the total
two
amount? Just
Or
the-
3, right? So you've got the,
Yeah, I've got 3 total. Yeah,
yeah,
all right,
the
I'll just
3
read the total.
amounts, right? Okay.
All right, ROE number 47, $544.02. ROE 47 for $100.66. And ROE 47, $1,333.34.
Total for the 3 would be, you have just one. you have
Yeah.
3 numbers. and you have 3, 2. ROE. And the lines scale.
1.
Okay, then it would be $1,978.02. 197.
Okay, sure. I finally decided to come face to face to a meeting, and I have Wendy that has to take a long time. No, that's quite all right. I was hoping she'd still be around so I could say that. Vaccination for the students. We've had a few clinics throughout the 3 counties that have had the health departments actually come to the high school. We've sent surveys out to get an idea for the health departments, how many of the kids 16 to 18-year-old are willing to take the vaccine. We've had some decent results. So our new poll is out for parents. How many 12 to 15-year-olds would you allow to take the vaccine? And how many are interested? Because probably this week or next week, that'll be approved. So down to age 12 will be able to be vaccinated. So the health departments are handling that. We're just helping them out by doing polls to our schools to see, so they can check with the parents to see how many are actually interested in doing that, so they can prepare. The ESSER 3 funding or COVID funding that we got, this is the 3rd round that has come to our districts. And so there's a lot of confusion about it. So luckily, at our superintendent's meeting that we had last Friday, I got Dr. Ernesto Matias, who's the Chief Education Officer, and Dr. Robert Wolf, he's not a doctor. Robert Wolf, who's the Chief Financial Officer, he is a CPA. They both zoomed in to our meeting and explained it. And they explained it better than what we knew. You can have this report if you're trying to take notes. You can just have this. Okay. All right. So it was nice to have them. There's still a lot of uncertainty. They have an idea how much money they're getting. It's one of those things that you need to get us a budget as soon as you can, but we're not going to tell you how much money you're going to get yet. So, but it's working out okay. I mean, it's understandable. The regional office is asking the districts for some of the additional funding for our safe school students. And so there's a way that we're working that with the districts. We presented to them about giving us so much money per student for our safe school and other things that we can do for them. And we already have 3 districts signed up. So I think that's going to work out well. It's just a way to, this money is going to go away after 3 years. And so it's a way for us to hire somebody to help all the districts and then maybe figure out a way to keep that person rather than each district trying to hire somebody. And then after 3 years, that funding dries up. Our PD department is doing a great job with all Zoom. We don't have any face-to-face, and we still had 250 participants in April. I think one of the ones that the manufacturing pathway networking group is, they go to visit. So this time they're Zooming with different manufacturers throughout the 3-county area. And the teachers actually visit. In a normal time, the teachers would visit these places to get an idea of what they need from students. Now we're doing it by Zoom, and it's still working out okay. So you have a list of what we have done. Our family educators are doing a great job, and that's one of the things we're looking to expand. one of our family educators found out that a preschool family could not get their student to school because their car had been broke down and it was junk. She ended up actually finding somebody that would donate a car to them. So then we had to figure out, okay, who's going to do the license, who's going to do the title. We got donations to do that. And so she got that family a car and they could take their kids to school. So that's a little above and beyond. We don't pay Oprah saying, you get a car, you get a car. No, but we actually got a car for somebody. The Center for Change is doing amazing. Since we went back to face in most of our districts, unfortunately, our enrollment in our alternative school has gone up and I think it's a good thing because I think these kids that weren't getting much out of remote learning, now that they're face to face, they're ending up back into our alternative school. So much so that we're going to expand and we're going to add a classroom. We already have another teacher lined up and we're hoping to do more. But it all comes down to this funding because the money goes to the districts because the kids are enrolled in their district and then they send them to us. We get the educational, the state aid, but this ESSER funding we don't get. So we're asking the districts to help us out with that. But it's just amazing. I attended another graduation last week. Another kid that graduated from high school through our program. He admits he would have never made it. He gave the principal a box of brownies because when the principal was the assistant principal at Challen Middle School, this student brought some brownies to school that maybe, let's say, were had a little additive in them. And so he ended up at the alternative school, got his act cleaned up, graduated. So he bought him a package of prepackaged brownies, not from home. Our parents as teachers first year are doing great. Our coordinator did have a setback in health, but she's coming back to us. We really were worried about her there for a little bit, but she's doing an outstanding job of coordinating early childhood programs throughout all 3 counties. So we found out, she found out a few years ago that different agencies were handling things differently with different parents and different parents didn't know which ones to go to. So now she has it's called the STARS program. It's an acronym for something about early childhood, but they're all coordinated now. So if somebody gets a family, everybody knows, so they aren't duplicating services. And they're also getting extra services. So it's great. Our education outreach program, actually, I rode up the elevator with Beth today. Excuse me a minute. Ignore. There. Okay. The education outreach program she's up here at the best office today. And this year, we have had 12 students successfully complete the program already this year. And 5 of them are in manufacturing, 3 in hospitality, 2 in sales and service, 1 in distribution, and 1 in healthcare. So these are kids that dropped out of school, age 17 to 21, 22, had no intention of going back. We got them back in, they got their GED, and we do counseling for them and job shadowing, and actually best pays for them to do an internship for 6 months. Many times that employer then hires those people. So it's great. Truant Alternative program has been really busy because it's really hard to tell a kid that he's not going to school when he's doing school from home. But he's not turning on his computer, or maybe it's a conductivity issue. So we're working with that, but our numbers are skyrocketed this year. So we're trying to get more funding for that too. McKinney-Vento, which is our homeless education program, something I learned through this report. If you look through it, that doesn't stop at 18 at the end of high school. It goes all the way through 21. So we're actually working with community colleges and colleges in the area for these kids too. So I think that's the end of my report, except for one reason I wanted to make sure and come in today to talk to you was to let you know that this will be probably my final committee meeting. Chris will come next month and I'll be retired. I'll retire June 30th. And so I have talked to the chair people from the Republican Party because they recommend who would take my place, and they are all on board with Chris Tennyson, my assistant, taking my place. I've talked to all 3 county chairs. They all know Chris. They're all on board with Chris taking my place. So hopefully it'll be a seamless transition. He's been with the office for 3 years. He's doing a fantastic job. And I really think that under his leadership, the ROE will go to the next level. So I appreciate all your support over the last 6 years since we've combined. The first few years were a little rough, but we got through it and we have done fantastic things with your support. So thank you very much for your support. And I will be at the county board meeting to tell you that next week.
Got a couple questions. Okay. Bob, can you release, or do you want to release the percentages of kids from 16 to 18 and 12 to 15 that will take COVID shots?
I can, that number, that message, or that information went to the health department. So I will check with them. I'm doing that actually with Whiteside County. I asked for a breakdown of cases because we say we have so many that came that were 20 and under. I said, can you break that down for me for primary, which is up through 3rd grade, elementary, which is through 5th grade, middle school and high school. So we have an idea of where the kids kids under 20, how that breakdown is. So I can ask them for the same thing.
And secondly, are you basically back to school full time?
Yes, yes. Everyone is back to school full time. We've had a few pauses here and there, but everybody is going back full time. The one problem we had with that was one of the ways they could do that is the CDC said that they could go within 3 foot instead of 6 foot. So Rock Falls High School did that. And then they had some kids come back from spring break. And since the contact tracing was still 6 foot. So it took out a lot more kids than they would have if it would have been stayed at hybrid. So they had 200 kids quarantined for over 2 weeks. But it worked. They have remote learning. They know how to do it. And it worked out okay. But in that case, we had like one football player took out the football team. One cheerleader took out the cheerleading squad. One girls track took out the whole track team. So, but we're working through it.
But right now, it's 5 days a week.
Right now, there are some that are still doing 4 days a week. And then that 5th day is for those kids that are still remote learning because it's still an option. This year, the parents can still decide if they want their kids to do remote learning. So not all the kids are back face to face because some parents didn't want that. I believe next year it'll be more of a, if you want your child to be a remote learner, you have to have something from a healthcare official saying, basically a doctor saying they need to stay home. It won't be just an option that I think it's better that they learn for. No, it'll be next year. Remote learning will still be around, but it'll be only if there's somebody from a doctor's office that says that they have to stay home.
Just curious, I have a daughter teaches in Bolingbrook.
Uh-huh.
I was always curious how we're doing locally.
Actually, our elementary buildings have almost been face-to-face the whole time. As soon as we could go back, they went face-to-face. Some 4 days a week with the remote option. And then our middle school kids and high school kids went to the hybrid because of the 6 foot distancing. So now most of them are back.
And I know we'll probably do it at a board meeting, but I really want to thank Bob for the tenure he's had. Done an excellent job.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
That's the whole reason I came. Yeah.
Definitely not an easy year this year,
No.
so.
What a year to go out on.
Yeah.
And then we lost power in the office for 2 weeks. They cut our power line. So why not?
Okay, any questions? Okay, so then county board, I think, is next on the list.
Okay. Addison, Dinoplo and Company for $6,800. David Bowers, $84.99. Walters Law Office, $145. US Bank, $15.93. Whipley, 2,500.
Grand total is $9,545.92. 954292.
9542.
9545, I'm sorry,
45.
92.
Okay.
My mistake.
VA. For the VA,
Yeah, this
there's no
cover sheet.
cover sheet.
Is that in the bottom? Is there one in the bottom? Turn it over.
There we go.
Okay.
Do you have the trans first, John? Lee County
Yeah,
Trans
I
Fund?
do.
That's first? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Lee County Transportation Fund, $868.13. Lee County VAC, $28.84. Oliver's Corner Market, $149.01. The County Trans Fund, $218. That's all I
Is
have.
that it?
Grand total of $1,263.98. 126398.
I was like, did I get one?
I know.
Yeah, I know. I saw that zero in there. I think, huh.
Okay, and then on to IT claims. So this is. And I think.
Are those the IT ones?
Yes,
I just want to note, there's a Verizon one where I didn't break out the subtotal to it. When we get to it, it's 4250, not 126 on the front of it. So it's on the summary sheet, but I didn't note it on the actual invoice, so. Verizon.
DevNet, $11,535.73. CenturyLink, $256.67. Did I say that right? 265, 67?
67.
I think we don't have it today.
It's Monday. I could say it's Monday.
It's paper.
All right. CenturyLink, $3,206.78. Another CenturyLink, $342.27. CenturyLink, $17.73. Another CenturyLink, $105.78. CenturyLink, $824.25. Verizon, $42.30. US Bank, $445.94. Civics Plus, $3,150. Dell Marketing, $589.99. Dell Marketing, $1,769.97.
Got a grand total, $22,296.41. 2929641.
Thank you.
Can I speak to that? I'd like to speak to my invoices first. This is the first month that I inherited the CenturyLink telephone from Greg Saunders, and he was very grateful. When he handed it over to me, I didn't realize that there was so many separate, bills there broken out. But going forward, they're going to be in the next month or so, probably, because CenturyLink's kind of tough to deal with sometimes, settling of our old bills. But as we move into the future, Cindio is our new phone provider with our new phone system, and they are currently working on consolidating the bills, so you won't have to read off the list by department. You'll be part of the report will have sub-departments, but if you want, you just let me know. Do you want to go by department or just the whole monthly, phone bill? You don't have to give me an answer now. When I get it in, I'll let you know what it looks like. I haven't even seen the new sample yet. And then also, in terms of, I want to thank the county board for some of the computer purchases, which are Dell Marketing or Dell EMC that you might have heard Paula mentioned in her report. Hers are coming out of her budget, but some of the departments that don't have budgets, that money's coming out of a contingency fund that you put aside last year for this year. So thank you very much. Especially benefiting from that is the public defender's office, whose computers look like they're 8 or 9 years old, and they're very, very excited about getting new computers. So, and now my regular report, my current hot active project is working in Nancy's office to get a couple more computers up and running there in advance of a major software upgrade, platform change, matter of fact, from a hosted system to something that's hosted in the cloud. And I'm excited about that. I don't think Nancy necessarily knows how excited I am, because the servers of that software is on is old and crotchety, and I'm trying to try to decommission it as soon as I can. And I want to thank Jonathan Henriksen and Zach Owen for all their work in that office, and they'll be working on it later today too. And then just a summary of other activities. We've pretty much caught up with the old computers that were here that needed to be deployed. There was 20 plus, and Jonathan did most of that work. And we're moving ahead with new deployments, which include computers in Nancy's office, the treasurer's office, public defender's office, and the circuit clerk's office, and one in the jail to replace a really old one there. And then in addition to that, I was presented with some information within the last week from Nancy on the opportunity. She's received some money for a grant to look at election security and election systems and a review of that. So we're going to take advantage of that. And related to that, it was also notified that our insurance company is looking for a certification of certain security measures that we have in place and the like. And that had always been on my long-term plan here. Then I was first presented with it, and I thought it was due November. Now I understand it's due June 7th. So I will be furiously working on that and reporting back at my earliest opportunity where we stand on meeting the terms of that insurance policy in terms of cybersecurity and ransomware. So in the short term, before the next meeting, that's going to keep my department busy. And I just want to thank Jonathan again and Zachary for all their work, and Nancy's department and her patients, and Wendy D and Paul in particular for their advice in my training months here. So, oh, and John Nicholson for stopping by frequently and keeping tabs on me. So there you go. Thanks.
Thank you, Paul. Any questions for Paul?
I have one. This is Jim Horstman. Paul, do you see any other big ticket items coming down the pike? Big money items?
Why, yes, I do. And this is part of it is the cybersecurity and ransomware. There'll be some items there. Plus, I've also signed on as either a supporter or co-sponsor to items that either Greg Saunders or the sheriff has proposed. So maybe not directly IT related, but I support a key card system for entry and in the doors in this building. I also support the generator system, which would be a bigger ticket item. And those are a couple of items that I know that, I don't know if they've been formally pitched to you yet, but if I pitched them too early, then I'm sorry, but those are, big ticket items. The board last year set aside some contingency funds for staffing and for equipment. Right now, I'm working within those guidelines, but given this new request for review of our security and server status, I may have to come back with a request for some additional funds. I'm still going through the documentation from the insurance company that was presented to me, and I hope to have a better idea even in advance of your next regular board meeting. So,
Thank you.
any other questions for me?
Oh, I just wanted to, Paul has worked with some of the battery backup. We had authorized a generator. We have no backup generator for this courthouse. But Paul has worked on some battery backup for the computers and so on and so forth.
Right. The board reserved, they had a number of different funds, it looks like, one for staff, one for computers, and one for, looks like battery backup. And I think they wanted to apply that to a generator system for the building, but that was in the amount of $15,000 and doesn't approach the amount that would be required for the generator system. So while you're debating that, we have an immediate need for some, what they call UPSs, uninterruptible power supplies, and/or local battery backups to protect our servers from outages and spikes and zags and things like that. And I plan on using the money for that unless there's some objection to it. I think it falls under the overall arching philosophy of protecting our data and our computers with some sort of electrical device, and that's how I'm proceeding unless otherwise advised.
I think the generator would have enough surge and so on that it might not do the job we expect it to do. So one step at a time, but we do need to get some backup power in this courthouse. And Paul's supplied a large portion of it, boy. That's coming down the pike. So, and the sheriff is the one that will be addressing the key card system in public safety on Wednesdays.
I think he has the software already involved. It's just a matter of getting the hardware probably lined up into the different parts of the building here.
Okay, can I get a motion to pay claims?
So
I move that we pay claims.
I get a second? In here.
I'll second.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, old business. I'm sorry. Oh, shoot. Yes, sorry. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
All opposed? Okay, good. Okay, now on to the old business. Updated COVID numbers for March and April. What Chris sent to me, I think, is March. I don't think I got April's yet. Did you send that? It's not complete, right? Okay, so for March, we had a total of 20 employees and total days off 169. Any questions on that?
I'm just curious as, have all of the employees had an opportunity to be vaccinated? Do we know that? Question.
I mean, just based on the state, like I think everybody's has the option at this point
Mhm.
if you want to, right?
Right, I agree. I'm just
Yeah.
I'm just curious, has everyone had the opportunity to be vaccinated? Which would bring me to the next question. And when somebody is ill because of that, but yet they failed to, or they didn't want to get, vaccinated, we taken care of that like we have been. So that's just my only comment there.
I don't know that legally we can force people to get vaccinated.
No, I'm not saying we should force people to get vaccinated. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that if they get sick because with COVID, they didn't get the vaccine, maybe it should start coming out of their sick pay, is what I'm saying.
So I think right now our policy is to leave it as it was last year.
I agree.
We can put something on the agenda to revise that policy, but I still think that it's a sticky situation of you're penalizing somebody for not getting a vaccine.
Okay.
But I mean, it's definitely up for conversation.
Sure.
I think when we have to put that on, because right now that's our policy. So if we want to change it, we would put it on the agenda.
I think Paul has a question.
Yeah, I had just a point that I received my vaccination, my 2 shots here in Lee County, even though I'm a resident of Winnebago, because of things that I heard here, the health department letting staff know you give your name to the health department. And if they're short at the end of the day, they'll give you 10 minutes to get down to the health box and get your first shot. And then you're booked automatically for your second shot. And I did that, and one of my staff members did too. And I really appreciate that opportunity to get that shot here close to work. So thank you.
This is Nancy. I also want to say on that note, Kathy Ferguson did send out an email to the department heads, and we were to get back to her on the number of employees in our office that were interested in getting the vaccination, and that has proceeded to go forward, and they reached out to individually to at least my employees that were interested in getting the shot.
Any other questions about that? Okay, on to new business. We covered Wendy's stuff. So then we have the IT agreement with Best to make Jonathan Henriksen full-time. I had that document, but now I can't find it. There was a document that.
I like to speak to it. I didn't give documents to Becky for inclusion in the package because I was still waiting for the details from Best. But I did forward to Danielle and Chris, who's not here, and Bob Olson, the job description which essentially is the job description for the IT technician position that was already available here with some minor tweaks to it. Essentially, it was very heavy in network and network administrator duties, which isn't really an IT technician role. Typically, it's more of a help desk role. And then just to back up, Jonathan is here already through an agreement with Best where he works 29 hours a week. Best picks up the tab for all of it and they pay him. What I'm proposing is we take the next step. For 6 months, we would employ Jonathan Henriksen. He would be our employee. And then I would have to submit proof that we've paid him. And then we would get reimbursed for 75% of his wages for 6 months, going through like the first week of December, I think it is. Then after that, he would be our employee, and we would be paying him the whole amount, salary, benefits, and everything. And I was advised, and since that money was kind of already reserved in the budget before I got here, that I may not have to, pitch it too hard. But I just want to make sure we're all on board with the plan. Jonathan's been great. and we want to move them into full-time and move them into a full-time salary. And then at the end of the best arrangement where they would pick up 75% of the tab after we've already paid it, it's a reimbursement. That we would have to be footing the bill for all of it going into the 2022 budget. And I want any committee that needs to sign off on it to know about that, because I really value Jonathan's work ethic and his attention to detail. And we're just trying to get him trained on some more aspects of IT right now. So, and I think what I've heard from staff is that they like Jonathan even better than me, which is great. You know, and it works for me. And the board members seem to like Jonathan too. So that's good.
We need to make a recommendation to finance to put him on. Is that what you're saying?
I just want to make sure it's, I guess the money's already there. The, cost for us is, just 25% of the rate wages for the rest of the year. But it's really, when it comes budget time and Paul is asking for things and I put that salary into the budget, I just don't want people to think that they've seen that for the first time.
I've got a question on that. This is Jim Horstman. Is the net result of this going to be that we're then going to have 4 full-time positions in the IT department?
3.
But currently there's an empty one, isn't there?
That is what Jonathan would fill,
Right.
is that empty one.
Right.
Okay.
We never filled that position yet.
Tom is being funded out of GIS.
Well, Tom, my predecessor moved over to ESTB 911. I'm not sure what you were planning on doing in all of the seats, and then Tom is over, and Wendy and GIS. But for me, it would be myself, Zachary, Owen, and Jonathan, and I wouldn't have a request for any other staff beyond that. Other than going forward, we may take advantage of, there's 2 BEST programs where you could give workforce training to people, but I've already let them know that we may take advantage of that, again, similar to what Jonathan's going through now, up to 29 hours and they pay it. But this would not lead to another full-time position here in the county. It would just be for workforce development training for them if they have somebody who wants to learn some IT skills. I would not come back to you for another full-time position, but I would take advantage of some free help. So.
Thank you.
Okay, so you're looking for a motion to move this to finance to hire Jonathan full-time at 75. Best would pay 75% of the salary for 6 months. And then we would pay the other 25% for 6 months. And then after 6 months, the county would be responsible for the full salary.
He's all ours.
Is it on the finance agenda?
Oh, it's already on there, so we don't
Okay.
have to do anything with it.
Thank you, Becky.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Budget.
Okay,
Okay, all right.
okay,
Well, I'm for it, so
yeah,
I think
same.
it's a good idea.
New business, just a reminder, May 25th, department head meeting, Chris had, yep. And then county yearbook platform.
So this is Nancy, and I want to also apologize again to Jonathan. He'll always be Christopher to me. No, I'm so sorry.
Now we'll all know who you're talking
Oh
about.
my
That would be okay.
goodness. It happens all the time. Okay, so what we need to discuss is going forward with the Lee County official yearbook. That is what this little yellow guy is, okay? It needs to be updated every 2 years. Previously, Creative Printing has done this for us, okay? And the cost is $6.50 a book, which comes out to be approximately $1,300. They do have, the program in their network there at Creative Printing. So basically, it's my responsibility to go around to all the departments to get who their new employees are. Another concern is also in the yearbook, it has the districts, which will come from the new census. which obviously the state is very behind on that. So that's something that, like you said, we need to think about in the future. I mean, normally I do believe it is done at this time of the year, but with it being the new census, we might want to hold off. Hopefully they're saying this fall, right, John, with the census?
Talking into September now.
September now.
You know, they come out and they tell you you're supposed to have this all done by July 1st, but they don't have the figures until September. So, little state of Illinois.
Microphone, John?
Sorry about that, Bill. I say the state won't probably have the final census figures for redistricting till sometime into September. And yet, from what I gathered with UCCI, they are almost mandating that we have the redistricting done by July 1st, which you can't do. So I agree with Nancy, just kind of put it on the back burner until the state comes through.
Yeah, it's just something I wanted to throw out there to the board members. You know, I don't know if it's something you want me to look at to see if we can do it a different way. And like you said, maybe possibly talking to other people, have it just available online versus printing a book. Because what did I say? She previously in the past, there's been 200 of these books printed. And that only leaves approximately, I'm going to say 15 to 20 extra copies that I keep in my office for people that might want to come in and have an actual copy. So it's just something to kind of, something we need to think about going forward.
What would it take to put them online?
That's something I have to look at into.
And you, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, because
Nancy?
then you could maybe update parts of it, right? And then the district part can wait if it was online instead of this.
Right, but like you said, we don't have the rights to it. It's with creative printing. So. Paul?
We don't have the rights to what?
Well, I'm not sure, like you said, so creative printing has always printed the book with everything that's in here.
Well, they're likely doing it as a work for hire. and
Okay.
The content being our own. I used to be a copyright scientist guy. I mean, doing science stuff. So it's probably ours, but the online stuff would be good. And a number of months ago, staff and I believe board members brought up the idea about an intranet, something for our documents and stuff here. Well, we could certainly, I haven't received a lot of information from people that want to share what type of information. This would be great. We could do it, electronically, internally, and also, host it outside. And it's not exclusive then of your book, but we could start building that. Now if you already have the basis for it, I could start, posting and we could update it live. It's just in terms of the copyright, if they're just printing it, unless we have some other type of, arrangement for it, that would be, ours. And I don't want to supersede any legal advice, but it's our information. We're paying them to print it. That's pretty much standard. It's our information.
So going forward.
You would concur? Thank you. I was also in printing for 20 years too.
Oh, good. Oh, wonderful. So you would be okay with that being thrown into your department, Paul? Is that correct?
Actually, yeah, we could work if you've got the basis for it, because it's part of the security and the like upgrades will involve putting people's information, associating it with their email addresses and the sign-in account, so I can sort by all sorts of departments and categories. So it would actually coincide with the efforts I'm going to have to do over the next few months and stuff. So.
Can I interrupt 1 second? It's on our website. It's already out there. The yearbook is. So if we have it out there as a PDF, then we could just edit it, couldn't we?
Well, you wouldn't want to edit the PDF. You'd want to kind of we can talk about the details of it.
But it is out there. It's on.
Thank you. So going forward, there's a lot of questions, and thank you, Paul, for your input on that. That's all I have at this time. Thank you.
That's something, right? John? No, you're good. Anybody else online?
No, you guys covered it.
Anybody else have any comments, questions on the yearbook? get them?
I move to adjourn.
Thank you. Any second?
Second,
Thank you. Okay, we're all in favor of adjourning. Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we have ended this meeting.